Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Eat, Breathe and Pray. It is Thursday, the 27th of March, 2025, and it is currently 6:02 a.m. here on the East Coast of the United States of America. And we are here for our Through the Bible in 1 Year reading. Today is day 86 of Through the Bible in 1 Year, and we will be reading from the first book of Samuel, chapters 11 through 15. But before we get started, let's just take a moment to still ourselves before the Lord. Just start by taking a big deep breath. Breathe Him in. And as you exhale, just allow your body to relax, your muscles to allow all tension to ease out of them, and come to a place of stillness. No extraneous movement, no fidgeting, no wriggling. Just still, being still before the Lord. Breathe Him in. Allow your breathing to become deeper and slower. As you do, your heart rate will begin to slow. While you are focused on stilling your body, take this opportunity first thing in the morning to present your body to Yahweh as a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable in the Beloved. Because this is where our daily service of worship begins. And allow the stillness in your body to inform the rest of you that it's time to become still. To still your thoughts, thoughts of the future, thoughts of the past, and all of those thoughts in the moment that would distract you from focusing on Him. The what ifs, the have yous. Gather all of your thoughts together, every single one. Take them captive and place them in the hands of Yahweh. And everything that is weighing upon your heart, that is vying for emotional space in you. Family, friends, career, your schooling, that project that you're working on, your plans, your hopes, your dreams, your concerns. Gather them all together and place them in the hands of Yahweh also, in the hands of Him who is able to care for what concerns you. In the hands of Him who is at work on your behalf, even when you're sleeping. And enter into His presence with praise and thanksgiving on your lips, and awe and wonder in your heart as you seek His face, as you listen for the beat of His heart. As you listen to hear His voice. And from this place of His presence, let's hear the word of Yahweh. 1 Samuel chapters 11 through 15. And Nahash the Ammonite came up and besieged Jabesh Gilead. And all of the men of Jabesh said to Nahash, "Cut a covenant with us, and we will serve you." But Nahash the Ammonite said to them, I will cut it with you on this condition, that I will gouge out the right eye of every one of you. Thus I will make it a reproach on all Israel. Then the elders of Jabesh said to him, "Let us alone for 7 days, that we may send messengers throughout the territory of Israel. Then, if there is no one to save us, we will come out to you." Then the messengers came to Gibeah of Saul and spoke these words in the hearing of the people. And all of the people lifted up their voices and wept. Now behold, Saul was coming from the field behind the oxen, and he said, "What is the matter with the people that they weep?" So they recounted to him the words of the men of Jabesh. And then the Spirit of God came upon Saul mightily. When he heard these words, and he burned with anger exceedingly. Then he took a pair of oxen and cut them in pieces and sent them throughout the territory of Israel by the hand of messengers, saying, "Whoever does not come out after Saul and after Samuel, so shall it be done to his oxen." And then the dread of Yahweh fell on the people, and they came out as one man. And he numbered them in Bezek, and the sons of Israel were 300,000, and the men of Judah 30,000. And they said to the messengers who had come, "Thus you shall say to the men of Jabesh Gilead, tomorrow, by the time the sun is hot, you will have salvation." So the messengers went and told the men of Jabesh, and they were glad. Then the men of Jabesh said, "Tomorrow we will come out to you, and you may do to us whatever seems good in your eyes." Then the next morning Saul put the people in 3 companies, and they came into the midst of the camp at the morning watch, and struck down the Ammonites until the heat of the day. Those who survived were scattered, so that no 2 of them were left together. And then the people said to Samuel, "Who is he that said, 'Shall Saul reign over us?' Bring the men, that we may put them to death." But Saul said, Not a man shall be put to death this day, for today Yahweh has accomplished salvation in Israel. Then Samuel said to the people, "Come and let us go to Gilgal, and renew the kingdom there." So all of the people went to Gilgal, and there they made Saul king before Yahweh in Gilgal. There they also offered sacrifices of peace offerings before Yahweh, and there Saul and all of the men of Israel were exceedingly glad. Then Samuel said to all Israel, "Behold, I have listened to your voice in all that you said to me, and I have appointed a king over you. So now here is the king walking before you, but I am old and gray, and behold, my sons are with you, and I have walked with you from my youth even to this day. Here I am, bear witness against me before Yahweh and his anointed, whose ox have I taken, or whose donkey have I taken, or who have I defrauded? Whom have I oppressed, or from whose hand have I taken a bribe to blind my eyes with it? I will restore it to you." And they said, "You have not extorted us, or oppressed us, or taken anything from any man's hand." So he said to them, "Yahweh is witness against you, and his anointed is witness this day, that you found nothing in my hand." And they said, "He is witness." Then Samuel said to the people, "It is Yahweh who appointed Moses and Aaron, and who brought your fathers up from the land of Egypt. So now take your stand, that I may judge you before Yahweh concerning all of the righteous acts of Yahweh which he did for you and your fathers. When Jacob went into Egypt and your fathers cried out to Yahweh, then Yahweh sent Moses and Aaron, who brought your fathers out of Egypt and settled them in this place. But they forgot Yahweh their God, so he sold them into the hand of Sisera, commander of the army of Hazor, and into the hand of the Philistines, and into the hand of the king of Moab. And they fought against them. And they cried out to Yahweh and said, "We have sinned because we have forsaken Yahweh and have served the Baals and the Ashtaroth. But now deliver us from the hands of our enemies, and we will serve you." Then Yahweh sent Jerubbaal and Bedan and Jephthah and Samuel, and he delivered you from the hands of your enemies all around, so that you will live in security. But you saw that Nahash, the king of the sons of Ammon, came against you, and you said to me, "No, but a king shall reign over us," although Yahweh your God was your king. So now behold the king whom you have chosen, whom you have asked for, and behold, Yahweh has set a king over you. If you will fear Yahweh and serve him and listen to his voice and not rebel against the commands of Yahweh, then both you and also the king who reigns over you will follow Yahweh, your God. But if you will not listen to the voice of Yahweh, but rebel against the command of Yahweh, then the hand of Yahweh will be against you, as it was against your fathers. Even now, take your stand and see this great thing which Yahweh will do before your eyes. It is not the wheat. Is it not the wheat harvest today? I will call to Yahweh, that he may send thunder and rain, and then you will know and see that your wickedness is great, which you have done in the eyes of Yahweh by asking for yourselves a king. So Samuel called to Yahweh, and Yahweh sent thunder and rain that day, and all of the people greatly feared Yahweh and Samuel. Then all of the people said to Samuel, "Pray for your servants to Yahweh your God, so that we may not die, for we have added to all of our sins this day by asking for ourselves a king." And Samuel said to the people, "Do not fear. You have committed all of this evil, yet do not turn aside from following Yahweh, but serve Yahweh with all your heart. And you must not turn aside, for then you would go after meaningless things which cannot profit and cannot deliver because they are meaningless. For Yahweh will not abandon his people on account of his great name, because Yahweh has been pleased to make you a people for himself. Moreover, as for me, far be it from me that I should sin against Yahweh by ceasing to pray for you. But I will instruct you in the good and upright way. Only fear Yahweh and serve him in truth with all of your heart, for see what great things he has done for you. But if you still do wickedly, both you and your king will be swept away." Saul was 30 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 42 years over Israel. And Saul chose for himself 3,000 men of Israel, of which 2,000 were with Saul in Michmash and in the hill country of Bethel, while 1,000 were with Jonathan at Gibeah of Benjamin. But he sent away the rest of the people, each to his tent. And Jonathan struck the garrison of the Philistines that was in Geba, and the Philistines heard of it. Then Saul blew the trumpet throughout the land, saying, "Let the Hebrews hear." Then all Israel heard the news that Saul had struck the garrison of the Philistines, and also that Israel had become odious to the Philistines. The people were then summoned to Saul at Gilgal. Now the Philistines assembled to fight with Israel, 30,000 chariots and 6,000 horsemen, and people like the sand which is on the seashore in abundance. And they came up and camped in Michmash, east of Bethaven. Now the men of Israel saw that they were in the strait, for the people were hard pressed. And then the people hid themselves in caves, in thickets, in cliffs, in cellars, and in pits. Also, some of the Hebrews crossed the Jordan into the land of Gad and Gilead. But as for Saul, he was still in Gilgal, and all of the people followed him, trembling. So he waited 7 days according to the appointed time set by Samuel. But Samuel did not come to Gilgal, and the people were scattering from him. So Saul said, "Bring near to me the burnt offering and the peace offerings." And he offered the burnt offering. And as soon as he finished offering the burnt offering, behold, Samuel came. And Saul went out to meet him and to greet him. But Samuel said, "What have you done?" And Saul said, "Because I saw that the people were scattering from me, and that you did not come within the appointed days, and that the Philistines were assembling at Michmash. Therefore I said, now the Philistines will come down against me at Gilgal, and I have not entreated the favor of Yahweh. So I forced myself and ordered the burnt offering." And Samuel said to Saul, "You have acted foolishly. You have not kept the covenant of Yahweh your God, which he commanded you. For now Yahweh would have established your kingdom over Israel forever. But now your kingdom shall not endure. Yahweh has sought out for himself a man after his own heart, and Yahweh has appointed him as ruler over his people, because you have not kept what Yahweh commanded you." Then Samuel arose and went up from Gilgal to Gibeah of Benjamin, and Saul numbered the people who were present with him, about 600 men. Now Saul and his son Jonathan and the people who were present with them were staying in Gibeah of Benjamin, and the Philistines camped at Michmash. And the raiders came from the camp of the Philistines in 3 companies. One company turned toward Ophrah to the land of Shul, and another company turned to the way of Beth-horon, and another company turned to the way of the border, which overlooks the valley of Zeboim, toward the wilderness. Now no blacksmith could be found in all of the land of Israel, for the Philistines said, "Let the Hebrews make swords or spears, lest the Hebrews make swords or spears." So all of Israel went down to the Philistines, each to sharpen his plowshare, his mattock, his axe, and his goad. And the charge was 2/3 of a shekel for the plowshares, the mattocks, the forks, and the axes, and to fix the goad. So it happened on the day of battle that neither sword nor spear was found in the hands of any of the people who were with Saul and Jonathan, but they were found with Saul and his son Jonathan. And the garrison of the Philistines went out to the pass of Michmash. Now the day came that Jonathan, the son of Saul, said to the young man who was carrying his armor, "Come and let us cross over to the Philistines' garrison that is on the other side." But he did not tell his father. And Saul was staying in the outskirts of Gibeah, under the pomegranate tree, which is in Migron. And the people who were with him were about 600 men. And Ahijah, the son of Ahitub, Ichabod's brother, the son of Phinehas, the son of Eli, the priest of Yahweh at Shiloh, was wearing an ephod. And the people did not know that Jonathan had gone. Now between the passes by which Jonathan sought to cross over to the Philistines' garrison, there was a sharp crag on the one side and a sharp crag on the other side. And the name of the one was Bozez, and the name of the other Seneh. The one crag rose on the north opposite Michmash, and the other on the south opposite Geba. Then Jonathan said to the young man who was carrying his armor, "Come and let us cross over to the garrison of the uncircumcised. Perhaps Yahweh will work for us, for Yahweh is not restrained to save by many or by few." And his armor bearer said to him, "Do all that is in your heart. Turn yourself, and here I am with you according to your heart." Then Jonathan said, "Behold, we will cross over to the men and reveal ourselves to them. If they say to us, 'Wait until we come to you,' then we shall stand in our place and not go up to them. But if they say, 'Come up to us,' then we will go up, for Yahweh has given them into our hands, and this shall be the sign for us." So both of them revealed themselves to the garrison of the Philistines, and the Philistines said, "Behold, Hebrews are coming out of the holes where they have hidden themselves." So the men of the garrison hailed Jonathan and his armor bearer and said, "Come up to us, and we will make you know something." And Jonathan said to his armor bearer, "Come up after me, for Yahweh has given them into the hands of Israel." Then Jonathan climbed up on his hands and feet with his armor bearer behind him, and they fell before Jonathan and his armor bearer, and his armor bearer put some to death after him. And that first slaughter which Jonathan and his armor bearer made was about 20 men within about half a furrow in an acre of land. And there was a trembling in the camp, in the field, and among all of the people. Even the garrison and the raiders trembled, and the earth quaked, so that it became a great trembling. Then Saul's watchmen in Gibeah of Benjamin looked, and behold, the multitude melted away, and they went here and there. So Saul said to the people who were with him, "Number now and see who has gone from us." And when they had numbered, behold, Jonathan and his armor bearer were not there. Then Saul said to Ahijah, "Bring the ark of God here." For the ark of God was at that time with this. Where are we? For the ark of God was at that time with the sons of Israel. And it happened that while Saul talked to the priest, The commotion in the camp of the Philistines continued and increased. So Saul said to the priest, "Withdraw your hand." Then Saul and all of the people who were with him rallied and came to the battle, and behold, every man's sword was against his fellow, and there was very great confusion. Now the Hebrews who were with the Philistines previously, who went up with them all around in the camp, even they also turned to be with the Israelites, who were with Saul and Jonathan. Now the men of Israel who had hidden themselves in the hill country of Ephraim heard that the Philistines had fled, and they pursued them closely into battle. So Yahweh saved Israel that day, and the battle spread beyond Bethaven. Now the men of Israel were hard pressed on that day, and Saul had put the people under oath, saying, "Cursed is the man who eats food before evening, and until I have avenged myself on my enemies." So none of the people tasted food. Now all of the people of the land entered the forest, and there was honey on the ground. So the people entered the forest, and behold, there was a flow of honey, but no man put his hand to his mouth, for the people feared the sworn oath. But Jonathan had not heard what his father put the people under, when his father put the people under a sworn oath. Therefore he put out the end of the staff that was in his hand and dipped it in the honeycomb, and put his hand to his mouth, and his eyes brightened. Then one of the people answered and said, "Your father strictly put the people under a sworn oath, saying, 'Cursed is the man who eats food today.' And the people were weary." Then Jonathan said, "My father has troubled the land. See now how my eyes have brightened because I tasted a little of this honey. How much more if only the people had eaten freely today of the spoil of their enemies, with which they found. For now the slaughter among the Philistines has not been great." Then they struck down the Philistines that day from Michmash to Ajalon, and the people were very weary. So the people rushed greedily upon the spoil, and they took sheep and oxen and calves and slaughtered them on the ground, and the people ate them with the blood. Then they told Saul, saying, "Behold, the people are sinning against Yahweh by eating with the blood." And he said, "You have acted treacherously. Roll a great stone to me today." And Saul said, "Scatter yourselves among the people and say to them, each one of you bring his ox or his sheep and slaughter it here and eat. And do not sin against Yahweh by eating with the blood." So all of the people that night brought each one his ox with him and slaughtered it there. And Saul built an altar to Yahweh. It was the first altar that he built to Yahweh. Then Saul said, "Let us go down before the Philistines by night and take spoil among them until the morning light, and let us not leave a man of them." And they said, "Do whatever seems good in your eyes." So the priest said, "Let us draw near to God here." And Saul asked of God, "Shall we go down after the Philistines? Will you give them into the hand of Israel?" But he did not answer him on that day. And Saul said, "Draw near here, all you chiefs of the people, and know and see how this sin has happened today. For as Yahweh lives, who saves Israel, though it is Jonathan my son, he shall surely die." But not one of all the people answered him. And then he said to all Israel, "You shall be on the one side, and I and Jonathan my son will be on the other side." And the people said to Saul, "Do what seems good in your eyes." Therefore Saul said to Yahweh, the God of Israel, "Give a perfect lot." And Jonathan and Saul were taken, and the people escaped. And Saul said, "Cast lots between me and Jonathan my son." And Jonathan was taken. Then Saul said to Jonathan, "Tell me what you have done." So Jonathan told him and said, "I indeed tasted a little honey with the end of the staff that was in my hand. Here I am, I must die." And Saul said, May God do this to me and more also, for you shall surely die, Jonathan." But the people said to Saul, "Must Jonathan die, who has brought about this great salvation in Israel? Far from it. As Yahweh lives, not one hair of his head shall fall to the ground, for he has worked with God this day." So the people redeemed Jonathan, and he did not die. Then Saul went up from pursuing the Philistines, and the Philistines went to their own place. Now Saul had taken the kingdom over Israel, and he fought against all of the enemies on all of his enemies on every side, against Moab, the sons of Ammon, Edom, the king of Zobah, and the Philistines, and wherever he turned, he inflicted punishment. And he acted valiantly and struck down the Amalekites and delivered Israel from the hands of those who plundered them. Now the sons of Saul were Jonathan and Ishvi and Malchishua, and the names of his two daughters were these: the name of the firstborn Merab, and the name of the younger Michal. And the name of Saul's wife was Ahinoam, the daughter of Ahimaaz, and the name of the commander of his army was Abner, the son of Ner, Saul's uncle. And Kish was the father of Saul, and Ner, the father of Abner, was the son of Abiel. Now the war against the Philistines was severe all of the days of Saul, and Saul would see any mighty man or any man of valor, he would gather him to his staff. Then Samuel said to Saul, "Yahweh sent me to anoint you as king over his people, over Israel. So now obey the voice of the words of Yahweh. Thus says Yahweh of hosts, I will punish Amalek for what he did to Israel, how he set himself against him on the way while he was coming up from Egypt. Now go and strike Amalek and devote to destruction all that he has, and do not spare him, but put to death both man and woman, infant and nursing baby, ox and sheep, camel and donkey." And then Saul summoned the people and numbered them in Telaim, 200,000 foot soldiers and 10,000 men of Judah. And Saul came to the city of Amalek and set an ambush in the valley. And Saul said to the Kenites, "Depart, go down from among the Amalekites, lest I destroy you with them. You showed loving kindness to all of the sons of Israel when they came up from Egypt." So the Kenites departed from among the Amalekites. So Saul struck the Amalekites from Havilah as you go to Shur, which is east of Egypt. And he seized Agag, the king of the Amalekites, alive, and devoted to destruction all of the people with the edge of the sword. But Saul and the people spared Agag and the best of the sheep and the oxen, the fatlings and the lambs, and all that was good. And they were not willing to devote them to destruction, but everything despised and worthless they utterly destroyed. Then the word of Yahweh came to Samuel, saying, "I regret that I have made Saul king, for he has turned back from following me and has not established my words." And Samuel became angry and cried out to Yahweh all night. Then Samuel rose early in the morning to meet Saul, and it was told to Samuel, saying, "Saul came to Carmel, and behold, he set up a monument for himself, then turned and proceeded on down to Gilgal." And Samuel came to Saul, and Saul said to him, "Blessed are you of Yahweh, I have established the word of Yahweh." But Samuel said, "What then is this sound of the sheep in my ears, and the sound of oxen which I am hearing?" And Saul said, "They have brought them from the Amalekites, for the people spared the best of the sheep and the oxen to sacrifice to Yahweh your God. But the rest we have devoted to destruction." Then Samuel said to Saul, "Wait, and let me tell you what Yahweh spoke to me last night." And he said to him, "Speak." And Samuel said, "Is it not true, though you were little in your own eyes, you were made the head of the tribes of Israel, and Yahweh anointed you king over Israel? And Yahweh sent you on a mission and said, 'Go and devote to destruction the sinners of the Amalekites, and fight against them until they are consumed. Why then did you not obey the voice of Yahweh, but rush upon the spoil and did what was evil in the eyes of Yahweh? Then Saul said to Samuel, I did obey the voice of Yahweh and went on the way on which Yahweh sent me and have brought back Agag, the king of Amalek, and have devoted the Amalekites to destruction. But the people took some of the spoil, sheep and oxen, the choicest of the things devoted to destruction, to sacrifice to Yahweh, your God, at Gilgal. And Samuel said, Has Yahweh as much delight in burnt offerings as sacrifices, as in obeying the voice of Yahweh? Behold, to obey is better than sacrifice, and to heed than the fat of rams. For rebellion is as the sin of divination, and insubordination is as wickedness and idolatry. Because you have rejected the word of Yahweh, he has also rejected you from being king. Then Saul said to Samuel, I have sinned. I have indeed trespassed against the command of Yahweh and your words, because I feared the people and obeyed their voice. So now, please forgive my sin and return with me that I may worship Yahweh. But Samuel said to Saul, I will not return with you, for you have rejected the word of Yahweh, and Yahweh has rejected you from being king over Israel. Then Samuel turned to go, but Saul seized the edge of his robe and it tore. So Samuel said to him, Yahweh has torn the kingdom of Israel from you today and has given it to your neighbor, who is better than you. Also, the Eternal One of Israel will not lie or have regret, for he is not a man that he should have regret. Then he said, I have sinned, but please honor me now before the elders of my people and before Israel, and return with me, that I may worship Yahweh, your God. So Samuel returned, following after Saul, and Saul worshipped Yahweh. Then Samuel said, Bring Agag near to me, the king of the Amalekites. And Agag came to him in chains, and Agag said, Surely the bitterness of death has departed. But Samuel said, As your sword has made women childless, so shall your mother be childless among women. And Samuel hacked Agag to pieces before Yahweh at Gilgal. Then Samuel went to Ramah, but Saul went up to his house at Gibeah of Saul. So Samuel did not see Saul again until the day of his death, for Samuel grieved over Saul, and Yahweh regretted that he had made Saul king over Israel. And that's the end of our reading for today. Join us this afternoon, 12 noon, for our midday prayer focus, and again at 4:30 for our Bible study, and 7:30 this evening for our daily devotion. Both the Bible study and the daily devotion will be drawn from our reading from today. And in the meantime, go in the knowledge and the awareness of the presence of God with you, of his great love for you, and of his Holy Spirit dwelling in you. Pray for the peace of Jerusalem. Pray for the people of Israel. Pray the promises and the prophecies of Scripture over them. And pray without ceasing for whatever it is that God has called you to, whatever he's given you influence over or authority over. Pray from that place of his presence, that place of stillness and rest, where you can hear his voice and know his heart, so that you know that what you're praying is coming straight from the heart of the Father. And be blessed and be a blessing.